Hello, I'm Richard, and this is a video showing the 10 most expensive records in my collection according to Discogs. Chris, on his channel at The Vinyl Orchard, posted a video about 3 months ago showing his, and I've seen similar videos from other VCers. Now, in my introductory video to the VC that I posted about 18 months ago, I mentioned that I'd only then just got back into collecting vinyl, but I was also selling at record fairs. In the last 2 or so years now, I've bought over 4,000 albums. My record collection stands at just over 100. I've been very selective in those I've chosen to keep. Most of my records are £5, £10, £15 albums. I don't use Discogs to buy or sell or to catalogue the vinyl. So it didn't take me too long to check out those that I thought might be in the top 10 in my collection. So what I've discovered is, of the top 10, 2 are from the 1960s, 5 are from the 1970s, and 3 were from the 1990s, of which 2 were best ofs. So we won't be seeing any Beatles white albums, low numbered, or any particularly collectible albums, but we start at number 10 with Carolina County Ball by the band Elf, Ronnie James Dio. This is the second of their 3 albums. This was released in 1974. So the Discogs median for this is £38. However, the highest is £97. This is a UK pressing on the purple label. In fact, all of the albums in my top 10 are UK pressings. I think what I've discovered from this is that I'm surprised with some of the medians, very surprised with some of the highest, and shocked with what you will see as my number 1. Number 9 is Jeff Beck, his album Truth. This is a mono version. This was released in 1968. The Discogs median for this is 50, and the highest ever this is sold for is 150. Number 8, Led Zeppelin, Physical Graffiti. So a little bit of surprise, but obviously depends on condition. Again, UK pressing, and clearly with this die-cut sleeve, damage to the sleeve or the inserts is going to affect the price. However, Discogs median is £50. The highest this has ever sold for is £175. Number 7 is Queen 2, their second album. Now this has a median on Discogs of £56, and the highest this is sold for is £115. However, that is because this is a UK first pressing, and you can identify this by the Trident Publications credit being at the top of the label and the side white, side black being printed along the centre of the label below the hole. I bought this as an upgrade to my Queen 2 album that I bought 2 years ago at the record fair that I was stalling at about a month ago. There was a guy there selling, he had about 4 boxes, he was selling a lot of fairly nice albums and along with a number of fairly £5, £10 albums. And I was rummaging through his nice albums, and there were quite a few Queen albums. So I was chatting with the guy, I'd never seen him before. Turned out it was only the second stalling he'd done, and he was only just doing it to sell some records that his father-in-law owned. And in chatting to him, it turned out his father-in-law was a marketing executive with EMI back in the 60s, 70s. And basically he was selling his father-in-law's collection as long as, with some other records as well. Now this being an upgrade, he said that they were mint, they hadn't been played, and I think that probably is the case. So I was happy to buy this. I bought quite a few others as well. I bought Jazz with the poster, and he did me a very good deal. So I was happy to buy this at below median for Discogs for a UK first pressing. Number 6 is Led Zeppelin 3. Now, again, this is a first pressing on the Atlantic Plum. This has a median price on Discogs of £60. The highest this has ever sold for is £200. However, first pressings of this would have A5, B5 matrix. This is an A6, B5, which is a little bit unusual. I've seen a couple of these sold online, and they've gone for even above the high figure on Discogs. So, nice to have. Number 5. No great surprise here. This is URI Heap's first album, very heavy, very humble. Really, the reason this is £90 median on Discogs, highest it's ever sold for is 257, is because really of the Vertigo swirl, UK first pressing. A little bit of surprise now. Number 4. This is the first of my 1990s best ofs. It's the Divine Comedy. This is their album, A Secret History. Now, I really like the Divine Comedy. I don't necessarily want to buy all of their albums. I do have this on CD, which I've played a lot over the years. And I saw this, it looked quite cheap when I bought it. There's a little bit of wear to the sleeve, but the vinyl's excellent condition. So I was happy to pick this up. It has a median price on Discogs of £110, and the highest it's ever sold was 170. So this is a compilation, effectively, a best of the earlier years of Neil Hannon and the band, and does include the track Gin Soaked Boy, which I really do like. There was a recent 2-disc best of that was issued that does include the later discography. Doesn't include Gin Soaked Boy though, which is a lot more affordable than this one is. So I've never seen this. This is the only copy I've ever seen of this on vinyl. I'm sure there are more, but those prices do suggest it's relatively rare. Number 3, perhaps no great surprise here, Black Sabbath Dehumanizer. So this was released in 1992, again UK first pressing. It has a median on Discogs of £110. The highest it's ever sold for is 212. Number 2 is Nirvana. No, not that Nirvana, this one. The UK Nirvana, we will perhaps call them. Which is like misnomer because Nirvana were Patrick Campbell-Lyons from Ireland and Alex Spyropoulos from Greece. This album was released in 1968. Now, in short, it's called All of Us. Now, the reason I didn't know this band at all, and the only reason I sort of got into this is that I was selling some 7-inch singles for a friend who had quite a lot of late 60s, early 70s 7-inch, and he had several Nirvana singles. And I sold them for him online, and they went for a lot of money. So as part of that, not knowing the band, not knowing the music, I listened to this album online. This is the second of their albums. And I was very impressed with this. It's Baroque pop. The best known track on here for sure is going to be Rainbow Chaser, which has a psychedelic feel to it. That track isn't really representative of the other songs on this album. Musically, it's very much of its time, 1968. There's definite influences of the Kinks, vocally, Patrick sounds a little bit like Colin Blunstone, so there's a little bit of Zombies sort of vibe to it as well, perhaps Donovan, that sort of sound. Other singles off this album were Tiny Goddess and Girl in the Park. Very much like this, but it is pretty expensive. Now, this is the only album that I've paid above median price for. Median on Discogs for this is £116, and the highest it's ever sold for is £339. Now, I bought this from one of the other dealers at a record fair about 3 months ago. And I was happy to do so, again, because of the condition being excellent condition. I was happy to pay above median for it. They made a few more albums after that. That hasn't been reissued, to the best of my knowledge, on vinyl. You can buy it on CD with some additional tracks. Their first album, which was a concept album, effectively, which is the story of Simon the Simmerpath, has similar, if not only slightly higher values, median and high, on Discogs. So that's pretty rare to find that as well. But that has had a vinyl reissue, the story of Simon the Simmerpath. Pentecost Hotel is probably their best known song from that album. Certainly, I think, front to back, that is their best album musically. Now, they worked together, Patrick and Alex, for a few more years, and then sort of went separate ways. They got back together in the 1980s, and I came across this 7-inch a short while ago, which was from 1980. It's from the band, well, it's not a band, it's Alex and Patrick, Erewhon, and the single is called, the A-side is The Hero I Might Have Been. What was perhaps most, it's new wave, has a new wave sound to it, nothing like that 1968 album musically. But I was quite intrigued that on the B-side is a version of Tiny Goddess from All of Us. Again, original song with a bit of a new wave vibe to it. Just to mention, the cover on this album is a monochrome reproduction of a painting. It's from 1892, and the artist was Pierre Frittel. And what this shows is historical figures from the time marching through a sea of corpses. My number one. Now, this probably is the biggest surprise. It's a 1990s best of. It's not this. This is Susie and the Banshees, Once Upon a Time. Now, again, I do quite like a best of. Quite a few in my collection are best ofs. I don't particularly want a lot of albums from any particular artist. So if there's a good best of, I'm happy to have that in my collection. What I particularly like about this particular collection is that it's in chronological order of release of their singles. And this covers their songs from 1978 to 1981. So I then noticed, it's about 6 months ago, at an auction where I buy quite a lot of vinyl records to resell. There was their, if you like, follow-up best of to that called Twice Upon a Time. Now this again is across two vinyls, two discs, and basically covers their singles that were issued from 1982 to 1992. On Discogs, this has a median price of £144, and the highest it's ever sold for is £300. Now, this was released in 1992, and this only reached number 26 in the UK charts. So, for sure, those sorts of prices are really based on supply and demand, I guess. What didn't sell in great quantities, I dare say there aren't that many copies of it around. At auction, I didn't pay anywhere near the median price, nowhere near it, and it is in excellent condition, vinyl and the sleeve. So very happy to pick that up, very surprised, almost shocked at those sorts of prices for that album. However, good to have. Okay, hope you found that of interest. Thanks very much for watching.